So if either of these runners PB, they could win this race potentially. So it's definitely really exciting stuff to watch. We got Apple X versus Black Apples. Showing some love to the fruits, I guess. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and start in. First thing you may notice is that the timers we're using are the in-game timers. Mallix's is cropped to be the timer that is in the top left of his screen. This tournament is running exclusively on in-game time. So even if one of the runners finishes before the other, if their timer is not lower than the other ones, then the other one would still be the winner. Celeste is a precision platformer. We got some jumping, we got some dashing, got some wall climbing, got a lot of nice combinations of the three. When Madeline combines her dash with her jump in different ways, she gains varying amounts of momentum. So you guys are going to see that here. Both these runners are probably going to start the chapter here with a couple of dash jumps, and then maybe some hyper dashes in a bit. And they both nice sync death. Evenly matched runners right here. That's the definitely the definition right there. Yeah, so you might see that these runners are like dashing up against the walls and pressing jump, and that's allowing Madeline to do what we call a wall bounce, and she bounces off the wall and maintains her dash momentum throughout the jump, which is a little bit better than just wall kicking off of the wall because you don't maintain the momentum that way. Right there, we're seeing a couple of hyper dashes. Hyper dashes is a dash jump, but crouching. You gain a little bit more distance and speed, but gain less height. So a lot of the mechanics of this game revolve around using the correct dash for the situation, either vertical or dash jump or hypers. Madeline only gets one dash in the air, but if you are able to touch the ground during the last third of your dash, or by jumping off the ground in some situations, you can refresh your dash while maintaining the momentum. So you can definitely be moving really quickly and still preserving your dash to dash again, and then kind of chain that into itself. BlackPear may be a little bit nervous, having a few more deaths than he'd probably like in Chapter 1. Also, I don't know BlackPear and Mallix, whether they're girls or guys, so I'm probably just gonna refer to them as either Madeline's or Keys to be safe. So on Mallix's screen here, we have Chapter 2 starting up. Nice, goes for that bunny hop there. When Madeline jumps, she actually accelerates a little bit, and because of the way the momentum works in this game, if you are accelerating, you actually maintain all your previous momentum, and your acceleration adds to it. So by hyper dashing and then bunny hopping, you actually preserve the hyper dash momentum while reverting back to a normal jump height. So it allows you to cover a lot of distance with a lot of momentum. Mallix here is entering the battle line section. Battle line is the manifestation of Madeline's negative feelings. As far as gameplay goes, she actually copies Madeline's movements 3 seconds in the past. So you'll see that in a lot of these rooms are designed in a way that you have to double back past where you've been. So as long as the players do that swiftly, they shouldn't have any issues with battle line. But it can get a little tricky if you met like right there. Like you make one mistake and then you fall back, and all of a sudden you are in the middle of a swarm of battle lines. And the deaths BlackPear had in Chapter 1, Mallix is kind of having them in Chapter 2 here, so you can see that, oh no, BlackPear took an unfortunate death at the end of that really long battle line screen there. So he's going to have to do that again. Yeah, BlackPear almost took the lead from Mallix there. They were neck and neck there at the end. Mallix is going to be entering what we call the Awake section here. We named the sections after the names of the checkpoints on the world map. In the Awake section, there's a lot of like hills and corners. If you've never watched the task of this segment here, I highly recommend it. It's incredibly enjoyable, and I'm not going to spoil it any further. Mallix finishing up with a 220 old site. That's a pretty good time, especially considering some of those unfortunate deaths. BlackPear not going to be too far behind. Nice dash jumps there. Going to be finishing with about a 221 as well. So pretty much identical old sites there. BlackPear just behind a small amount of time he lost in Chapter 1. And Chapter 1 and 2 are some of the shortest chapters in the game, so you know, falling behind in those chapters is not the biggest deal if you can catch up in the later chapters. Here we have Bowfinders entering Chapter 3 now, Celestial Resort. Nice little hotel run by Oshiro. Oshiro unfortunately has a little bit of a dose bunny problem, and I guess he doesn't sweep enough in his hotel. I guess being a ghost and all, it's understandable. So there's going to be a lot of these dust creature enemies and a lot of this dust floor around the perimeter that Madeline's going to have to focus on avoiding. Mallix screen, he picked up a key there. Some of these levels have puzzles where you have to go to a different screen and pick up a key and then bring the key back to open the door. The key follows you even if you die, so if you die on the way back, you can still just continue back to the door. You don't have to worry about losing it like a strawberry would. So the player's gonna abuse some death warping later in the level to make use of that feature. Oh, this room is so unfortunate on the death cycle. Yeah, I completely agree with that decision from Mallix there to just reset the room. The rooms sometimes have different cycles based on whether you start in the room or if you are entering the room from a transition. So when you're speedrunning, usually you learn the room on the transition because you don't expect to die in the room. So sometimes you run into those rooms that you're a little less experienced in, and it's better to just reset the room than waste time trying to learn it on the spot. Yeah, you can see here the runners are about less than 2 screens apart at the moment, so it's getting really close here. Mallix gaining BlackPear gaining about 10 seconds there on Mallix in that first segment. Now we're entering Huge Mess. Huge Mess is a very fun split. It's very technical, but that also makes it very difficult. So it's not everybody's favorite. It's like, depending on who you ask, it could be their least favorite or their favorite. First, we're going to be entering this box section here. There's 3 different sections that you can enter, but the way the runners are going to be doing it, it's going to be boxes, books, and then towels, and that's because this is just the fastest for the speed run. Nice skip there from BlackPear. Is he going to get the spike jump? Yep, nice. So BlackPear getting a little bit of time there as well. And Mallix is trying really hard to hold on to this lead, but BlackPear is gaining a lot of time here. So the book section here on Mallix's screen is probably the easier of the 3 sections, I'm sorry. Not any difficult tricks or hyperdashes or anything like that. Just get through the screens as fast as you can. There's a cycle skip that you can go for, but I don't believe either of the runners went for it. And it's pretty difficult. Now we're going to enter the laundry section. You see our boy Theo there crawling for the vents. He's trying to escape the hotel. He doesn't want anything to do with these dust creatures or the ghosts. Mallix is kind of stepping it up though. Mallix hasn't died in a decent bit of time now, so Mallix is trying to build up this lead, punishing BlackPear for taking a death there on one of the book screens. And Mallix is now done with Huge Mess. He's going to enter the original maze of the level, and you'll see that all the books, boxes, and towels have disappeared, and now the key is accessible. Now Mallix is entering the elevator shaft. The elevator shaft section is really short. It's only a few screens, but these screens are very long and very technical. So, you know, the elevator shaft is kind of a make or break point for Chapter 3 for a lot of runners, because they have to do so many consecutive tricks, and it can be really fun if you're into like wall bouncing and precision like that, but it can be really frustrating if you don't like dealing with these enemies. You're gonna have a series of platforms here that with good hyper dashing you can make it all the way through. Very nice on Mallix's part, first try, that's the key. And that's the death warp I was talking about earlier. BlackPear making his way through the elevator shaft segment now, while Mallix makes his way to Oshiro. Oshiro is the owner of the hotel, like I said, and unfortunately Battleline comes out and insults his hotel, and Oshiro doesn't like that, so he thinks because we're identical, which technically we are, he's gonna take it out on us. BlackPear having a little bit of trouble with the dust cycle in the key room. The dust cycle can be very tricky because if you go as fast as possible, the last dust bunny is right in your way, so you have to kind of slow down. And Mallix is really breaking away now. Mallix is about to be done with chapter 3 before BlackPear even enters Oshiro. Okay, there we go. BlackPear got the key. Mallix now entering the last screen of chapter 3. It's also the longest screen, so it can be very problematic if you die on it. A lot of the screens in Celeste, you just respawn at the entrance of the screen. So if you die, it's not usually that big of a deal, but on these very long screens, dying can be really bad. Yeah, very nice for Mallix. Okay, BlackPear is now making his way through the Oshiro segment. Getting these lock switches, you have to touch these coins that you see BlackPear touching. I didn't mention them earlier, but you have to touch them to be able to move these blocks out of the way at the end of the screen. So the runners have just been doing that as they progress through the screens. It's almost as if they're just, it feels like it's just part of the screen itself at this point. We don't really consider them like keys and doors. So Mallix is entering chapter 4 here, Golden Ridge. Golden Ridge introduces a couple of mechanics. It introduces clouds, wind, bubbles. Here we see the wind on Mallix's end. The wind is very problematic for most computers, so you probably see the bitrate drop a little bit when Mallix is in a wind screen, as well as BlackPear. There's like 1 or 2 runners that the wind doesn't influence their stream. It's like just a graphically intensive mechanic. The bubble, as you can see here, essentially gives Madeline an extra dash in the air. It just launches her in a direction, and then she can dash afterwards. So it gets really, it's really just about using that extra dash to go the right direction. These dash platforms, you step on them and they move in the direction of the arrow that's on them. And the clouds are like little trampolines, basically, with the pink ones disappearing after you stepped on them once and then reappearing at a later time. So here we have an auto-scroller segment. Basically, you're supposed to use this block to get across the gap. Mallix actually getting a nice extended dash jump there to get across that gap without waiting for the block. Very nice on Mallix's. BlackPear making their way through the beginning of the ridge segment here. Both players taking an unfortunate death. This screen can be very tricky on Mallix's end here. Basically, you're supposed to use all the mechanics along the bottom of the screen to basically go up and then down and then up and then down to get to the end of the screen. But by using some extended hyper dashes, and by extended I mean that we're preserving the dash by jumping later in the dash animation. By using extended hyper dashes, you're able to kind of clear a very large gap that you otherwise would not be intended to clear. This game is really interesting because a lot of these mechanics are developer intended. The developers heavily designed this game with speedrunning in mind, so they put the mechanics in themselves, or the mechanics were found at a later date, and then they left them and then designed the levels retroactively around the mechanics so that speedrunners could make better use of them. So it's really nice of them. Mallix is now in Cliff Face, the final segment of Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is not that long of a level, but it's very, very precise and difficult. So we now have these snowballs that are kind of like the inverse of Oshiro. They charge at you over and over, but these you don't get a little lightning bolt warning that they're coming, so they can be a little bit more dangerous and catch you by surprise, especially at the end of the screen. Also, the wind is so strong at this point that it's almost impossible to just straight up walk forward. You can see Mallix is trying to stay on the little piece of platform, but it's just so hard because the wind is so intense. BlackPear clearing that really long screen there, very nice. Mallix on the last screen now. And BlackPear is about 3 or 4 screens from cliff face, so not too far behind. I believe I said 3:36, which is a pretty good time for chapter 4, I'm not gonna lie. That was chapter 4 can be so difficult at times. So now we have Mallix entering the Mirror Temple here. Mirror Temple introduces these platforms right here that only move when Madeline dashes. How they know when Madeline's dashing is beyond me, but that's the only time they move. There's also these switches that you have to press to open these doors, and these red bubbles, which are, they infinitely launch you as opposed to only being an extra dash the way the green bubbles are. And Mallix doing a nice extended dash there to skip an entire sequence on the left side of this area, and is able to avoid having to go to a red bubble. Is able to get the key really quickly. Oh, forgetting to press the switch. You need to open the door. Oh, that's always annoying when you fall down there. I feel Mallix's pain there. I'm gonna go for the... Ooh, okay. Almost got it. That's a relatively new trick that runners are going for. I'm impressed Mallix went for it in a race setting. Basically what's happening there is that by dashing on the platform, you're forcing the platform to move very quickly while you're on top of it, which gives Madeline a lot of momentum. And with that, you're able to preserve that momentum all the way through that screen into the next screen. But unfortunately, he held jump a little bit too long and ran into the wall above him and had to do the screen the more traditional way. But I'm impressed that he went for it. Didn't really lose him any time. We got BlackPear entering Mirror Temple as Mallix is exiting Depths. So they're about 1.5 minutes apart at the moment. But like I said, Chapter 6 and Chapter 7 are the longest chapters in the game. So there's still a lot of gameplay to go. Mind you, the players are only in Chapter 5. Okay, good job by BlackPear getting to skip there. And we're introduced to the Seekers here on Mallix's screen. Seekers are enemies in the game that can dash and target Madeline based on her position in the screen. So they pretty much lock onto you like a missile and then charge you. We're going to see our first Seeker here in a second. There was another technique that Mallix used to use the dash momentum to get across. So very nice by Mallix here. And now we have some Seekers on Mallix's end as BlackPear is finishing up the Depths segment. Mallix is having a really good Chapter 5, and that's what I get. I should have kept my mouth shut. I'm sorry, Mallix. I apologize when you watch this back. We got one more lock switch screen here for Mallix. Gets the nice step on the Seeker. The Seekers can actually also touch the switches for us. So it's where a lot of the runners use them to collect the coins, and then we can open the door by only getting half of them ourselves. And you'll be able to see that again on BlackPear's screen for the first few screens if you didn't notice it on Mallix's. Oh, Mallix, unfortunately. Second to last segment of the Mirror Temple here. It's intended that you open the path for a red bubble to launch yourself across this ravine of spikes. But by dashing to the right and then jumping in the last third of your dash, you're able to preserve your dash and then dash over the spikes. Mallix having a bit of difficulty with it, which is actually a little surprising. This is probably the first skip most runners learn. Yeah, he's just jumping too quickly. He has to delay his jump a little bit more. The timing for retaining your dash is completely based on when you jump. There is no other factor involved. Unfortunately, that's not obvious at first when you're learning the game. But actually, I believe, like top 5 on the leaderboard a few months ago before I even understood that mechanic myself. So it's not totally intuitive to understand. I had to have Kevin from the development team explain the mechanic to me, and he was like, "No, it's just you just dash during certain frames of you just jump during certain frames of your dash. That's all there is to it." So if you're having any difficulty with some of these extendeds, make sure you are just delaying your jump into the last few frames. This gave BlackPear a decent bit of chance to catch up here. Mallix is now entering the Theo section. BlackPear is about to exit the unraveling if he doesn't die here. Nice, good job. So BlackPear is now in search. Let's see how long it takes him to get the scoop. Ooh, the swag. Smack the Seeker with Theo and then step on him. Disrespectful. That's a block around my fight. I'm not gonna lie. Nice to see that Mallix is not getting too flustered with the mistakes in the search segment. He's just executing really nicely on this Theo segment here. Yeah, and I didn't see it myself, but I believe BlackPear got the search skip on the first try. So he's entering Theo here in a second. Ooh, Mallix taking a unfortunate death. Some of these screens in the later Theo sections are annoying because you want to get to the platform before you dash the first time. So if you don't come into the screen with a lot of momentum, you wind up having to just walk over to the platform because you don't want to trigger the platform before you actually get there. Catching Theo actually preserves a little bit of Madeline's momentum, so players will try to throw Theo and then dash and catch Theo, like you see Mallix doing here. And that's because you can't dash while you're holding Theo. So you kind of have to do this little sequence of maneuvering. It's a little bit awkward to learn at first, but it can get really intensive to optimize because you can hyper into picking up Theo, as you just saw BlackPear do there. And you can also ooh, BlackPear with a nice swag. The Seeker Explosion actually launches Madeline and Theo actually. So, you know, being able to oh, you picked up Theo a little early there. Being able to use that explosion to your benefit is really good on-hand knowledge for BlackPear. BlackPear is actually styling a little bit here. He's using a wave dash there to pick up Theo. It's on the last screen here. Oh no! Oh my god! No, Mallix in here, we have him going for lake skip. It's called as such because it's the lake segment of the game, not just because you're in the water. There's about a 3 pixel window where you can wall bounce off the bottom corner of that wall of spikes. He's trying to dash up to that window and wall bounce around the spikes, and he gets it. Nice, very well done. And assuming you get that on the first try, it saves about 5 seconds. So it's a pretty nice trick to practice. I'm not sure if he's watching the stream or not, if he knows that he's ahead, or if he's just trying to get practice in it, regardless of what his opponent is doing. So I respect it either way. He's been going for some very hot tricks this run. So we got Mallix exiting the lake segment at 1:13. We'll see how BlackPear does. BlackPear is also going to go for lake skip. Very nice on Mallix's end here, using the momentum from the block to trigger a collapsible wall that normally stops this crush block from advancing. But by going and triggering it yourself with Madeline early, you actually prevent that whole sequence from happening and are able to save some time. I love this song, by the way. Chapter 6 is some of my favorite music in the game. Both the intro and the battle line fight, which we'll get to in a second. Very nice save there from Mallix. Realized he didn't get enough momentum from the Kevin block and was able to correct himself and use the bumper. BlackPear exiting Lake at 109, so saving about 4 seconds on Mallix. BlackPear has had segments where this execution is really clean and gained a lot of time on Mallix. Unfortunately, it's had some other sections though where everything has kind of just gone poorly all at once. So still a little bit behind, but these are the two most important chapters in the game, so we'll see how it goes from here. Mallix finishing up the hollow segment, very well done. Very few mistakes in the end of the hollow segments there. Sometimes that little last screen can trip you up because these bumpers, they recoil Madeline in the direction she's coming from. However, if you're holding away from the bumper, like the opposite direction that you touch it from, you actually get boosted further. So some players go for strats here where they try to change the direction they're holding on the very last frame right before touching the bumper, and it winds up very well killing them, basically, in most situations if they do it incorrectly. Here we have some developer-intended shortcuts on Mallix's screen. There are much larger gaps that you can fall through to get through that screen, but developers put those in for speedrunners there, so that's very nice of them. I love that the music gets quieter with the water. It's so good. Yeah, Mallix having an excellent intro to chapter 6 here. BlackPear as well. Aside from like Skip, neither of them really having any difficulty with any of the rooms. Very nice on Mallix's end there. Use the Kevin block of momentum to jump all the way to the end of that screen without waiting for the block to reach the end. Nice little... I think people have started calling it like a battle line boost because you're boosting into the battle line fight. So, battle line is back. This time she's not chasing you. This time she's actually just trying to kill you. She's insisting that you are not a mountain climber. You're trying to prove her wrong by parkouring around the level and slapping her in the face with your face. The wall to exit the screen does not open until battle line destroys it. So you have to run into her and push her back into the end of the screen every time to get her to open the door and proceed to the next screen. BlackPear also having a really good intro to chapter 6, entering the battle line fight now, and we'll see how his fight goes as well. Mallix looking to be done here with the first half of the battle line fight, which is pretty good. I don't believe either player has died yet, so hopefully it's not jinxing them, but now we're getting a little bit of remix to the music here. The moving blocks are going to start moving before you actually hit battle line this time, which it makes the screens a little bit harder for the most part, but speedrunners, oh, Mallix, unfortunate that he meant to reach the actual floor, not land, yeah, like that, and not grab the wall, and that actually just tripped him up a little bit. But that death is not that costly at all, so we're just going to continue as normal. And Mallix officially done with the battle line fight. BlackPear hitting the midway point right here. After beating up battle line, you guys reconcile your differences and agree to work together. Because frankly, you know what, we're the same person, so why are we fighting? And that's just real. So now Madeline's hair is pink. She actually has an additional dash while in the air. And even though she fell off the mountain at the end of chapter 5, and is all the way at the bottom in what I call the base. She's going to make it all the way back to the top just in chapter 7. So chapter 7 is a really, really long chapter. It's the longest chapter in the game by far. It's about a third of the run just by itself. And there's a lot less floor, you may be noticing here. Madeline is taking pretty much the shortcut up to the top of the mountain now. She's just gonna fly up there, basically. And yeah, we'll see how Mallix and BlackPear do. BlackPear finishing up the battle line fight about 13 seconds behind Mallix. So overall, very similar chapter 6s as well. But again, BlackPear is only behind because of some unfortunate deaths in chapter 1 that caused him to have about a 2-minute chapter 1 as opposed to like 1:30 that Mallix had. Everything else has been almost the same. So now Mallix is entering 1500 meters. Basically what we're going to see now is levels styled in the manner of the first 5 levels of the game. Like I said, Madeline fell off the mountain. She's climbing back up through all the levels she's been through already. She's of course taking the secret back path because now that she can fly, she doesn't need the actual floor. So she's like, I'm just going to go this way. The screen is just literally void of floor. It's so funny to me. Summon music is also really good. It's very good for the moment, both when you're playing the game casually and in the speedrun. It's just a great song. So we got a 154 from Mallix into 1,000 meters. So we'll see when BlackPear grabs that to see how far behind he potentially is. Here we have one of my personal favorite sections of the game. 1,000 meters has the return of the dream blocks from chapter 2, but a little known fact that you don't learn till a different level in the game is that you can actually jump out of dream blocks, and by extension you can hyper dash out of dream blocks. So you know there's a lot of optimizations to be done on these screens. You'll see here Mallix is going to be jumping out of these dream blocks to maintain some of that momentum from the dream block, and it's just a really fun segment. Both very nice by Mallix. I like that a lot. Yeah, so BlackPear is grabbing that bubble at 140, so gaining about 13 more seconds at the beginning of summit here. Hot on Mallix's heels, and the level's just gonna get harder. Like 1,300 meters, 2,500 meters, and 3,000 meters are really difficult segments. So Mallix is gonna have to play well to maintain this lead. Oh, you can land. Nice, very nice for Mallix there, knowing the backup strat. Mallix is going for an ultra strat here. An ultra dash is actually when you cancel a hyper dash with another down forward dash, you actually gain more momentum because down forward dashes for some reason accelerate you. So by down forward dashing in the air on those long screens like that, you're able to gain a lot more distance than you normally would with a dash. And we have both players in the same checkpoint. Mallix exiting 1,500 meters as BlackPear is entering, so you can see that BlackPear is definitely hot on Mallix's heels right now. So entering 2,000 meters, here's the revenge of chapter 4 basically. There's one big trick with an auto-scroller skip and then a bunch of very difficult wind screens. BlackPear with a very nice save there, making sure not to fall to his death at the end of that very long screen. That would have been very costly. So here's the auto-scroller skip I was talking about. Mallix is going to try to use the momentum from the block to dash across this very large ravine. And gets it. Very, very nice, very nice. Mallix not going for the second auto scroll skip. That one saves very minimal time and is actually probably harder than the first one, so definitely understand that choice there. Very nice wall bounces on Mallix's end here. And gets to the end. Oh no, BlackPear takes a duck to the snow. These snowballs can be so uncooperative in this section of the screen. Okay, BlackPear makes it to the end there. And we have a 32.56 grab from Mallix. BlackPear just saying, forget it. I don't even want to land on this platform. Like, he died with both his dashes. He just didn't dash up. He was like, nope, I don't care. I'm gonna just take the death. Goes for the auto scroll skip, but unfortunately doesn't get it. Mallix entering 2,500 meters. There's going to be a nice little skip here where we're avoiding a red bubble all the way at the bottom by using 2 neutral wall jumps on the corners of these spikes here to get just barely around the spikes without touching them. Nice, Mallix getting the nice little thread the needle strat. And fortunately there's enough of a gap under these doors to actually go through them without actually opening them. So that's what we call door skip. Mallix getting on the first try, very nice. Unfortunately I didn't see when BlackPear grabbed the bubble. So I don't know how, I wanted to state how close it was. I'll just check on this one, 34-15. Nice save by BlackPear there, recognizing that he didn't get his dash back because he jumped too early. Gets his key skip first try. Mallix now entering 3,000 meters, the first original segment of Chapter 7. 3,000 meters uses the wind mechanic from Chapter 4 in a different manner. It actually pushes, the wind is actually pushing Madeline down in this segment, so we call it downdraft. And it'll push Madeline up in the next segment, and basically it just changes their gravity. So you'll see here Mallix's jumps are much shorter. There's a lot more gravity influencing Mallix's dashes right now. Can barely get across these gaps, you see like that, yeah. A nice door skip for BlackPear. Door skip only saves about a second, so most people go for it just because it's such a popular meme. Oh, BlackPear taking an unfortunate death there. And Mallix finishing up downdraft. BlackPear grabbing the bubble at 35-26, so about a minute 12 behind. It's gonna need Mallix to maybe make a few mistakes now for him to be able to catch up. Mallix might be on PB pace. I know. I think he has a high 37 on SRC. I'm not sure how much time is left in the end of the run. He has about like 2-ish minutes to finish. No, I don't think you can. Well, maybe without deaths, he could PB. I'm pretty sure. He's definitely going for the faster strats, so definitely a potential for it. BlackPear making quick work of downdraft here. It takes an unfortunate death on Flag 9. Flag 9 is one of those puzzles that the developers intend to just, they like basically lay it out for you. They're just like, here, if you just dash here and dash here, you'll be fine. But when you're trying to go fast, sometimes you come up to that segment with a little bit more momentum. than the developers may have intended, and you just kind of like fly past where the developers wanted you to dash. Okay, so here we have Mallix on the last screen of the game. It's a very long screen, but there's these flags that you may have noticed that spawn throughout the level, and those are actually checkpoints. So, flag 3 now for Mallix. Definitely, if his PB hasn't changed, it's definitely PB pace. Oh, that might have been it right there. Unfortunately, not going to be a PB, but a great run nonetheless. To be this close to your PB in a race setting, especially after what happened in Mirror Temple, is very, very impressive. So congratulations to Mallix there, ending with 37.50. He's going to be the winner of this race. We'll get to see the final time here. Yeah, 37.58.94 with 37 deaths. GG's again to Mallix. Assuming no deaths from BlackPear, the BlackPear is also technically on PB pace here, according to SRC. Runners sometimes have new PBs in like practice and stuff because they're warming up for the tournament and don't have time to upload them. So we'll see from BlackPear. It's a very, very close race. Less than a minute apart, 57 seconds apart. Oh, 58. Sorry, I didn't see the clock accelerate there just at the end during the cutscene skip. 10:21 summit. GG's again to both runners. It's a great race, for sure. I see Mallix in chat, GG. Had some excellent segments from both runners, really. Both runners just had a very like slight hiccups on certain screens, and then just for the rest of the run was like very, very, very high level. So congrats to both of them. Excellent runs. Not much else to say. Oh, we have BlackPear joining us in the chat. Is that a small PP for you, BlackPear? We have Mallix joining us on the Discord.
Hello.
Welcome. GG's again.
Thank you.
How you feeling?
Well, I'm happy that I won, but all of a sudden I completely forgot how to do a Mirror Temple. I don't know why. I think it was the nerves, mostly.
I mean, your Mirror Temple was good. It was just the search skip.
Yeah, exactly. I never have trouble with that on a normal run, but I don't know.
Yeah, it was you were actually decently ahead at that point. But you gave BlackPear a chance to catch up there. You guys were actually even in 1500 meters, like at the same time. Like that's how close the race was. But you pulled ahead there at the end, for sure.
It was fun.
I think aside from like search skip and like, well, I think you had like a 4th or 5th try like skip. Like aside from those 2 things, your run was really, really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if your PB on SRC is up to date, but if it is, then you know if those things had gone like first try, you would have PB'd by like 30 seconds. So according to SRC.
Yeah, I guess.
So how are you doing in your group at the moment?
I am. I've only raced David Decu and then yeah, BlackPear. So I won and I lost once.
All right, so you're 1-1 at the moment. Got about 4 or 5 races to go, depending on how many people are in your group. How are you feeling about the rest of the group?
I think I have an okay chance. I think BlackPear was definitely one of the ones that I was most worried about, you know, coming up against because our PBs are so close together. Yeah. So it was good. Also, you can see my real PB in the files. I just haven't updated it yet, but
yeah, that's what I was telling. I was like saying when you were in Summit, I was like, there's potential for a PB, but with all the practice everybody's doing, it's potential that the PBs are not up to date because you know, yeah, where everybody's playing a lot, everybody's trying to do well in the tournament. So, but I believe you. So you, BlackPear, and David Deku are the 3 highest seeds in the group, I assume. So
I was seeded second, and
yeah,
you know.
So definitely big potential for the 3 of you to make it to the next round of the tournament.
For sure.
So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing more races from you guys. Especially as we get into the bracket stages, and it's going to be more races like this with people with like very similar PBs. That's always exciting to look forward to.
I think I'll practice search script next time. I think that would definitely be a good idea.
Yeah, I was telling the chat how that happened to me once as well. Well, not that exact same situation, but there was just a time where I was just like, why am I not getting my jumps back?
Yeah, and then you start panicking, and it just gets even worse. So I just, when I finally did it, I had caught myself down a little bit.
Yeah, I was telling them that Kevin,
because it's so easy to do. It's actually an easy skip, but sometimes you just lose it.
Yeah, Kevin from Power Up Audio actually had to like tell me, I was like, dude, just wait, just stop and wait longer to jump, and you'll be fine. And then like once you think of it that way, it gets a little bit, you know, you get a little bit more patient, a little bit more calm. Sometimes going too fast is bad.
Exactly.
Yeah, any final thoughts on your end before we cut it here?
I think we'll just cut it here. But thanks for hosting it and commentating this. It was nice.
Yeah, not a problem. Hope you enjoyed that to watch it back.
Yeah, I'll watch it later for sure. It's gonna be fun.
Make sure you guys are following our runners. I don't know if the commands are up to date on the channel. Yep, there they go. So make sure you guys are following the runners. These are excellent runners. They're gonna definitely be practicing moving forward into the tournament, so expect nothing but improvement for them. Thanks to the Speed Gaming staff for restreaming a lot of our races. They're working day and night to get as many of these Celeste matches going for you guys as they can. My name is Ben Teasy. If you like what you've seen, there's going to be more Celeste races, I believe, on Speed Gaming 5 at the top of the hour, and then Speed Gaming 4 going later on into the day. And then we have some Link to the Past stuff, and Final Fantasy and Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Metroid across all the channels as well. So make sure you're tuning into all the channels, looking at all the different content, finding what you like, and then, you know, becoming a part of those communities, because speedrunning communities are really friendly and really nice to be around. So make sure you guys are doing that. Again, I was Ben Teasy. Thanks you guys for watching, and have a great day.